What is up, Red Raider Nation? Welcome back to the Scarlet and Black Nation podcast. We are your hosts. I am TJ Kern. That is Blake Hartsfield. Blake, big week ahead, my friend. Big week on the basketball court as the Red Raiders go 1-1. I think if you would have told me coming in that they would have gone 1-1 in this two-game series with Arkansas and Duke, it probably would have been the flip-flop result. But hey, we're going to take the way that it went down, and they went 1-1 in these tough non-conference that we've talked about so much here on this program that we endorsed. We endorsed the tough non-conference to get us ready for Big 12 play. And Blake, the Red Raiders on the basketball court, you were there at the Arkansas game at the AAC. Tell me a little bit about that game. I know you had a front row seat for that one, and I think the Red Raiders might have let one get away there, possibly. But yeah, then they come back and touch on this Duke game that just went down. So let me hear what you got.
Yeah, so the Arkansas game, TJ, I do think the Red Raiders let one get away there. I mean, Arkansas is very good. So losing that game, there is no shame in losing that game.
Brazil is a monster.
Yeah, I mean, Brazil had to get, his career high or whatever, and he had a great game against us. They've got a couple of, the first thing you notice, and I went to the game with my best friend who's an Arkansas grad, and you watch them warm up, and they look like a Calipari team. I mean, year two there, they're long, they're lanky, they switch everything. They don't shoot it great, but they shot it well against the Red Raiders. As a whole, they don't shoot it great. They're just athletic beyond all means. You do not want to get into a track meet with that team. And I think in the first half, the Red Raiders did a really good job of controlling the tempo, of playing at their tempo, their pace. They did not let the game get up and down into a track meet. I think in the second half, Arkansas did a good job of kind of making it a little bit more of a run and gun game, which favored them. And the Red Raiders let one get away. I've said it multiple times, and it comes straight from McCaslin, and he talked about it again in his post-game press conference about the lack of competitiveness, the lack of toughness on the defensive end of the floor. And there was a rant that went viral after the Arkansas game before the Duke game where he talked about, I don't care who you are, something to the effect of, I don't care who you are. If you just want to play offense and you don't want to commit yourself on the defensive end of the floor and play team basketball, then you're just not going to play. We'll play other players. We'll go to our bench. And by golly, did he make good on that in the Duke game. So it's clear it was a point of emphasis for McCaslin to get tougher, to get more competitive defensively. And they did that. But the Arkansas game, it was fun, TJ. I was actually a little surprised at the lack of Red Raiders that were there. It was, me and my buddy were talking about it walking in, and we kind of both thought it'd be like 60-40 Tech, that both teams would have a good showing. And I think it was like 70-30 Arkansas. They actually closed the upper deck. So we had first row of the the third deck tickets. And when we went to go up there, they handed us two tickets that were right behind, like on the third row, right behind the basket, because they closed the upper deck and put everybody into the lower bowl to try to make it look more full. I think both coaches did that. I think they were expecting it to sell out, but I don't think Tech pulled our weight, frankly. And the only thing that I could come up with, TJ, is that everybody's saving their money to go to Miami in a week. So, that was kind of my takeaway from it.
I gotcha. And then Madison Square Garden, Blake, it's on my bucket list. I want to go. I think the next time the Red Raiders make a trip up there, because this won't be the last time, I've got to find a way to get to Madison Square Garden and see the Red Raiders play. They beat number 3 Duke. And Blake, this did not start out well. Especially, by the end of the half. I even texted you, we're not officials guys, but we were like, hey, Duke officials, surprise, surprise, everybody's in foul trouble. And then boat race watch. The boat race watch was on. But lo and behold, this team got it together. Coach McCaslin at halftime ripped some ass, I'm sure, and let everybody know that, hey, we're not going to go out like this. We're going to play, hard-nosed basketball. And Blake, my guy, Christian Anderson, showed up and showed out in the second half. And like I've said on this program, he has to be aggressive and look to score the basketball for this team to really hit its ceiling. And especially with JT Toppin in foul trouble, Blake, what a second half by this team, and what a game to come back and beat the number 3 rated undefeated Duke Blue Devils.
Unbelievable win, TJ, on multiple levels. You did hit the nail on the head with the officiating. I wasn't even upset about it. It was very much a classic. This is Duke. You're not going to get a call and you'll like it type of business. I think McCaslin kind of felt that over there. They foul out LeJon Watts. They foul out Leon Horner. They had JT Toppin and 3 fouls in the first half. Meanwhile, Duke's got a ticker tape parade to the free throw line. And I think that speaks to just the grittiness and the growth from the Arkansas game to the Duke game. And it was kind of funny listening to Jay Billis, right? He's a Duke guy, and he was the color commentator on the broadcast. It went from when Duke's up 17 in the second half, it was, Texas Tech has no answers, and, they have no players, and they're all in foul trouble, and they're hurt, and yada, yada, and they've got no chance to. This is one of the gutsiest, most competitive, toughest wins I've ever seen at the end of the game when he was making excuses for Duke. Just fantastic all the way around from the Red Raiders. Christian Anderson, take a damn bow for that second half. He went nuclear. He finishes with 27. He goes 5 of 9 from the 3-point line. TJ, I think he had like 3 points at halftime. So I think 24 of those 27 came in the second half. And I'm with you. He's got to score the basketball. TJ, but they did this without essentially 3 starters, right? Because Bam doesn't play because he's hurt, so that's 1 starter. LeJon Watts fouls out of the game pretty early in the second half. And he was on fire. He had 20 points before going out of the game. 10 of 17 from the floor and 6 rebounds. CJ, that's the guy who I think's really found it in the last kind of 4 or 5 games here. He's really stepped up and become that third scorer that this team needs. And then for reasons that we're going to get into, Tyree Bryan basically didn't play after the first 3 minutes of the game. So, if you look at it that way, you're down three starters. You come back and beat Duke basically in a road game, right? Because Madison Square Garden for Duke is like Cameron Indoor North. And big shout outs here, TJ. I mean, can't speak enough about how great Nolan Groves played in this game, right? Who would have thought that he'd have come into the game and he'd be guarding Cameron Boozer for, stretches of the second half and kind of frustrating them a little bit. As an undersized playing the 5, basically. We were playing small. Leon Horner was outstanding on the defensive end. And then Jalen Petty, and we're going to get, again, more into this, but Jalen Petty needs to be starting on this team. Full stop.
Yeah, I like Jalen Petty, man. I like his energy. I like his confidence. You can just tell by watching him get up and down the court that he's confident in his game. He doesn't lack the lights are not too bright. There we go for this kid. And man, he's aggressive. And he's a pest on the defensive end. I really like what he brings to the table. And if he can knock down a shot or two, man, look out. Really like that
effort.
kid.
The effort is noticeable. He cares. He wants to win. I don't think he's going to be Christian Anderson good as a freshman because, again, I said this on our last podcast, and I do mean this. I think what Christian Anderson did last year as a freshman is pretty special, pretty unique. But Jalen Petty's one of your best 5 players on this team, and he's going to play a role.
Yeah, definitely. And then, like you said, basically no bigs. And then
outside of JT
gets in foul trouble. Had to play the last 10.5 minutes with 4 fouls. And luckily, kind of stayed out of the way and didn't commit another foul.
Olay defense.
Yeah, Olay for the rest of the way. But man, and I've seen some stuff on Twitter about the pick and roll with Anderson and Toppin and just how dynamic it's been. And man, when Anderson is looking to score the basketball, it's impressive. Like, I know he wants to be the point guard, and I think I touched on this a little bit last time, where his assists are real high, and he's running the team, and he's trying to prove that he can play point guard. But look, this team, he's a sniper, and this team needs him to be a sniper.
They need his offense, bottom line. I mean, they need his points. And to your point, when he comes off that pick and roll, and again, we've talked about this, right? They run two actions on this team. They run pick and rolls with, JT Toppin and Christian Anderson, and then they run direct posts to JT Toppin. And it's two good offenses, right? Occasionally they'll give a post touch to LeJon Watts, and he seems to be getting a little bit better of growing into the D5 booty ball role, which is good, right? But um, at the end of the day, to what you were touching on, this team needs Christian Anderson's offense, and when he is selfish coming off that pick and roll and looks to score, and look, there is he needs to score, but he also needs to continue to do what he's doing, which is feed the best player in college basketball, which he does a great job of. But when he looks to score and he has that threat, it just gives defenses one more thing to have to think about, right? You have to now worry about, okay, well, Christian Anderson come off this and do a pick and pop. They can throw it down to JT on the roll. They can if they throw it to JT and we double, he can kick it out to Donovan Atwell or LeJon Watts or Jalen Petty, and they can all knock down three. So like you can see it starting to come together when Christian looks to score the basketball for sure.
Yeah, and Atwell knocked down a couple of big shots too. I think he's going to have to continue to grow and continue to step up in his role. As well.
They need 3 threes a game from him. He needs to be the Kerwin Walton of this team. 3 to 4 threes a game.
And I actually think he can be even better than Kerwin. Maybe not from a percentage standpoint from 3, but just as a more athletic Kerwin, somebody that can give you a little bit more than
he gives you more on the defensive end.
Definitely more on the defensive end. So I think he's going to have to step up. But Blake, before we keep it moving here, let's touch a little bit on this Tyree Bryan situation, because we brought him in to be a 40% three-point shooter and an athletic guy, and now all of a sudden you look up and he's not even getting to play because of XYZ. Of course, everything's going to be kept hush hush. Nothing's leaking out in the media, but it looks like might have a little issue there.
He got benched, TJ, 3 minutes into the game, and it makes me think that part of Grant's rant that I referenced earlier in between the Arkansas and the Duke games was directed at 2 players in particular. I think it was directed at Tyree Bryan, and I think it was directed at Donovan Atwell. They went 2 separate directions with that message. Donovan Atwell applied himself on the defensive end. You could see late in that second half his communication on closeouts when the ball was being swung around, if they double teamed on Boozer, and just the effort and the want and the competitiveness was there. You hate to read too much into something like this, but then you look at like the locker room celebration after the game where they released a couple of pictures, and Donovan Atwell is in there jumping around and celebrating with his teammates, and Tyree Bryan was kind of, sitting over in the corner, not really celebrating with everybody. TJ had 4 bad defensive possessions in a row, 3 minutes into the game. Grant benched him and didn't bring him back in. And this is a continuing trend. He got benched in the Arkansas game. He got benched, he's been benched a couple of times. I'm going to choose my words carefully here. I think it doesn't happen often that Buff and Grant miss on player evals out of the transfer portal, or out of high school for that matter. I mean, they've nailed, Christian Anderson, Jalen Petty, but I think they missed on this one, TJ. It hasn't translated for whatever reason, and it's not only a skill set.
What was the guy's name last year that basically quit the team?
Devin Cambridge, but he was good the year before he got hurt. He quit the team not because of a miss on the evaluation. He got a bad attitude when he came back from his injury, and he wasn't starting anymore. He didn't like his role, which is a character flaw. This, I think, is missing on 2 fronts, and I'm not saying this lightly here. I think they missed on the basketball side of it, right? I think that the skill set hasn't translated for whatever reason. It should have, right, being a 3-and-D wing, but this, I think, maybe comes back to some of the attitude part that I'm coming back to, and there doesn't seem to be a competitiveness there. There doesn't seem to be a willingness to want to work on the defensive end of the floor, to play a role on this team. and I think Grant's had enough. I really do. I think you saw that against Duke. I don't know this, and I know that I drop some things that I do know on this podcast from time to time. I don't know this to be a fact, but it will not shock me if in a week or so before the Big 12 play starts up, if we get an announcement that Tyree Bryant has left the team. And if that happens, just know Grant kicked him off the team, because I think that's what's happening as we speak. I think that they're going to let Christmas get through, and then you're going to see that announcement come. I will be surprised if we see Tyree Bryant making an impact on this team moving forward.
And that is something that, this team, like you said, they don't miss often.
No.
So I mean, it's something that is disappointing, right? Because from a depth standpoint, I don't think there's a whole lot of depth behind him.
No, that's why they went to Nolan Groves, Leon Horner, and Jalen Petty. I mean, those guys are going
Yeah,
to be playing a
those
lot.
young guys are going to have to step up.
Yeah.
I mean, and step up in a hurry with Big 12 play right around the corner. So, but I mean, the pedigree's there. Nolan Groves, Player of the Year in the state of Minnesota, 30-point per game scorer. Playing solid defense. Horner can give you.
He can give you defense. Horner is a Big 12 defender. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Now, when you bring him in, you do lose something, I think, on the offensive end, but I think you've got enough offense on this team, TJ. I think you need a few dogs, and Leon Horner's a dog.
Yeah, I like dogs. It reminds me of 2011 championship Deshaun Stevenson. He is the definition of a dog.
That's a good comp. That's a good comp. Sean Marion. I mean, Sean Marion wasn't scoring on that team at that point. No. So, I think he can be a rotation player for you in the Big 12 and come in and give you 13 to 16 minutes of defense and hustle.
Now, let me say this: does the lack of size worry you as we get into Big 12 play?
Yes, particularly this Josiah Mosley situation, right? He was supposed to be kind of their small four, right? And can play a big three and be a slasher and be an athletic, big kind of bodied player. And TJ, he was supposed to have been back at the start of conference play. That's not happening. What I understand is that there's been a setback on his injury. I don't know that we're going to see him at all this year. If you get anything from Josiah Mosley later in the season, consider it a blessing. Bam's got to get healthy. I think originally people thought that was season ending, and then they released the picture of him in the knee brace practicing before the Duke game. So maybe that's like a week or two out. But they need him to come back. But yeah, I mean, the lack of size is concerning. If nothing else, Mario can give you some size. I don't think Mario can play, but he can at least come in and give you 5 to 10 minutes, maybe of just size and rebounding and 5 fouls. But yeah, the lack of size is a little concerning.
I definitely am worried about that as we enter conference play. But man, the fact that they were able to get that win against Duke, undersized, undermanned, just shows the heart.
It's a culture win.
Very much a culture win. And as we get in here into conference play coming up in a couple weeks, there's only one more game left. I just looked it up. One more game left before conference play starts. It looks like Winthrop coming up, and then over the holidays, and then Oklahoma State is your first conference game.
Yep, and at the end of the day, TJ, they did what they're supposed to do with this. And I know we're about to move into the game that everybody really cares about. But at the end of the day, they did what they're supposed to do, right? They ramped up the non-conference slate. They went 3-3 in their 6 games against real teams, right?
How many teams in the country are going to have a better win than Duke?
That's the best win. It's the best win in the country right now. It is.
That's a great resume win.
It will be worth its weight in gold come Selection Sunday. Probably bumps you up a full seed line when they start scrubbing teams on who you beat. But at the end of the day, they went 3-3 in their games that matter, right? They beat Wake Forest. They boat raced LSU, and then they had to come from behind win against Duke on national television. That'll hold a lot of weight. They lost at Illinois. No shame in that. They got blown out by Purdue on a neutral floor. No shame in that. And then they lost a close game on a neutral floor against Arkansas. No shame in that. So they don't have a bad loss. They're going to be 10-3 going into the Big 12. TJ, if you win 9 Big 12 games, you're a 5 seed. If you win 11 Big 12 games, you're a 3 seed. You win 13 Big 12 games, you're probably pushing the 2 line. It's just that simple. So they've got everything in front of them.
Yeah, it's really exciting here on the Scarlet and Black Nation podcast. We got a lot of time to talk hoops, but Blake, let's get to the game that everybody wants to talk about, and that is, of course, it's still football season as the rest of the country's going bowling. Blake, we know the Red Raiders' opponent in the Orange Bowl. Surprise, surprise! It's the Oregon Ducks. Before we just kind of get into this a little bit, Blake, can we be done with the Cinderella nonsense in the playoffs? I mean, Ole Miss had a bye; they played Tulane, and then Oregon had a bye. So really, six
Well,
teams had bye.
they gave up 34 points to that bye and 500 yards. But yeah, I mean, I think they've got to change the rule. Personally, I think that it's more likely than not that the field gets expanded to 16 this summer, going into next year. Um, and I think they need to change the rule from the group of five being an automatic, we're guaranteed a rule to something along the lines of, if a group of five school finishes the year ranked in the top 15, they automatically get a spot. And really that's a carve out for Boise, in my opinion, right? Because to me, Boise's the only group of five school left that's still in the group of five, right? UCF graduated, Cincinnati graduated, Houston graduated, SMU graduated, and moved into the Power Four. Um, Boise's kind of the one that's still out there that's proven it that yeah, we can't go through a Big 12 or a Big 10 schedule year, week in and week out, but in the years we're good, we can compete for a week or two. And so make it kind of that top 15 carve out. But yeah, I'm with you. It's time to. And part of this is the ACC's fault for being so bad.
I mean, look, I know we hate Texas on this program, but you can't tell me that a three-loss Texas team wouldn't have been better than Tulane or
BYU.
or
BYU should have been in.
JMU.
BYU should have been
So,
in.
yeah, BYU. I mean, I think we saw them up close. I mean, I don't know what they would have really done, but
They'd have
hopefully
played more competitive
they
than
would have
those
been
two.
better than one of those two.
Yeah, they'd have played more competitive than those. Notre Dame, as much as I hate them, would have been
Right.
in there. So yeah, I think that they need to change the rule and make it, if you finish ranked in the top 15 and the perception of you is that you're a top 15 team, you can't get left out, right? You can't get bumped. But um, let's move away from this. They're guaranteed a spot no matter what.
I'm with you there, Blake. So Oregon beats James Madison and secures their spot in the Orange Bowl. We get a matchup against the Red Raiders. And Blake, they came to Lubbock a couple years ago, right? With all their speed, and we had a really good game against them, and really had a chance to beat them. So
It took a bogus overturn of an interception for us to not win that game.
so this is something that I think is a really good matchup for the Red Raiders. I'm not really concerned from a athletic standpoint. I know they're quick, they're fast, blah blah blah, but I don't think they're going to what's the word out athlete you. Like how do
It's a
you? I
good way to
mean,
put it.
yeah, I mean their athletes are not just showing up on the field and having an advantage over your athletes.
No. TJ, this is going to be a ball game. It's going to
I
be
do
the
believe
first.
that.
It's going to be the first competitive game. The Red Raiders. Well, I take that back. I mean, both games against BYU were competitive late into the third quarter, but this is going to be the first competitive game late into the fourth quarter that the Red Raiders will have played since Arizona State. Oregon's really good. They're fast. They've got good luck. They're good in the trenches. Deservedly,
Well
ranked in
coached.
well coached, deservedly ranked in the top five. TJ, the best offensive line that you have played all year was Utah. Um, and you saw this front handle Utah, right? And wear Utah's offensive line down. I think Utah has a top 10 offensive line in college football this year. I really do. Um, Oregon is also a top 10 offensive line. Their offensive line is really, really stout. They've got, NFL players on that line. They give Dante Moore, their quarterback, a lot of time against most teams. But this is a good matchup. Again, I think that the Red Raiders defensive front, and to me, it's the key of the game, right? Can this front continue to do what they've done against every other opponent this year and control the line of scrimmage? And ultimately, I think that they will. But to me, that's where this game is going to be won and lost.
Yeah, I definitely think that it starts with the defensive line, and like it has all year long. Jacob Rodriguez and the boys in the front seven are going to have to be competitive and do their thing. And um, I think Baron Morton is going to have a very very good game. The
Yeah,
receivers can't drop balls. Baron Morton's going to have to get rid of it quick. None of this holding the ball nonsense that he's done from time to time, throughout Big 12 play. Get the ball out. Don't take any stupid hits to where you could possibly,
get
get hurt.
knocked out of the game. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is a Baron Morton game.
Well, TJ, did you watch any of this JMU Oregon game by chance?
I did not get a chance to see it. I was actually out working, but
So Oregon, their defensive philosophy, I think, works in the Red Raiders' favor here. Oregon plays very much, and they believe in the whole bend but don't break defense, and they bend a lot. They're really good at not giving up big plays over the top, and credit to them on that. But to do that, they give up a lot underneath. And you saw it with JMU, even early in the game in the first half when it was competitive. I mean, Oregon goes down, scores. JMU gets the ball. They drive all the way down. They end up settling for a field goal from like the 6-yard line. And then in the second drive, they drive down and they get inside the 10 again, and they end up getting stopped. They get a field goal blocked. And so Oregon was kind of off to the races. But even in the second half, when Oregon still had their first team defense in, JMU started moving the ball in the second half. They scored 34 points, and Oregon didn't really pull their first teamers out until like late in the fourth quarter. And they gave up 500 yards of offense to JMU. And if you watched it, JMU was just being patient. They were taking what Oregon was giving them. They were working underneath. And I think if I'm Baron Morton and I'm and I'm Mac Leftwich and I'm the offensive staff watching that game on Oregon, I'm saying, okay, there's no reason to take any chances here. Let's work underneath. Let's run the football. Let's throw screen passes. Let's throw hitch routes. Let's throw underneath to Carter and Eakin working across the middle, and let's just move the ball and win time of possession. Where this Oregon front out, give your front time to continue to rest and be fresh to go after Dante Moore on the other side of the ball. I think the goal should be to have the ball for 35 plus minutes in this game. And I think you can do it because Oregon plays a style of defense that allows you to do that. Just be patient, take what they give you, work underneath, and just keep moving the chains.
yeah, I mean that's something that I'm all about is Terrence Carter. Get him the football as many times as you
Throw
can.
it to these backs, throw it to
Yeah,
Jacoby Williams.
get Jacoby Williams the ball, right? Like you don't have to do too much.
No.
Uh,
Let
just
Eakin go to work as a slot
mhm.
receiver, right?
I mean,
Um,
Virgil and Douglas obviously can make plays on the outside, but I mean, it's spread the ball.
Douglas is the field stretcher. Virgil can work the 8 to 10 yard route tree pretty well. I think Douglas needs to be deployed as a field stretcher in this game, right, to make those safeties continue to go deep. And um, I hope he's got his cardio practice in coming in because I think he's going to be running a lot down the field to keep those safeties honest.
So yeah, I mean, it's exciting. It's going to be in Miami at 11 a.m. on New Year's Day for all of you New Year's Eve partiers out there. And I know there's a lot of you out there in Red Raider Nation that like to throw them back, just like I do. But man, have your electrolytes ready to go. That or just keep drinking. Why not?
I
Right
also think
into
that works
right
in.
into kickoff.
I also think that kickoff time works in the Red Raiders' favor, TJ, for a couple of reasons. One, they've played really well at 11 this year, right? I mean, you think about their 11
Coach
a.m.
got them
kick.
coached up.
Well, you look at their 11 a.m. kicks, right? Both games against BYU were 11 a.m. kicks. They handled that game. Utah was an 11 a.m. kick. West Virginia was an 11 a.m. kick. Um, so every time that they've been asked to play early, they've played really well. And on the flip side of that, Oregon's going 3,000 miles, literally the longest trip in this country that you can have to go from way up here in Oregon to way down here in Miami. And it's going to be 9 a.m. And I know they're going to get there 2-3 days before and try to adjust to the time change, but like it's hard to get your body ready to play when you've never played at 9 a.m. locally, right? So, um, maybe Oregon comes out a little slow and you can jump on them a little bit, and that helps your defense because then they're more likely to throw the ball. Like, I like this game time. I think it's an ideal kick for the Red Raiders.
So it's going to be the first playoff game of the day on New Year's Day, I believe. And man, what an opportunity for Tech to show the rest of the nation that, hey, we're here and we have arrived and we're not going anywhere, Blake. And
Yeah,
look, we talked about it. We've talked about it for a year on this program about the power void that we needed to fill. We filled it, and we talked about it in our preview show. Hey, let's win the Big 12. Went out, got that done. Now I don't know that either one of us expected to get a bye, but here we are in the quarterfinals and in the big dance. And you get a good matchup against Oregon. Let's show the rest of the country what you're made of. I think if you can win this game, just win this game, anything else that happens after this, I'm thrilled with.
I mean,
Like,
this game would be.
I'm thrilled with the season anyway. Like, it's hard to be upset at this season, but I really want this one.
Well, the goal is to turn into a perennial national power, right? And so this year was the first step in doing that. Winning this game would be another step immediately to do that. Losing this game, and you're going to lose to a really good team. I mean, Oregon is good. There's no shame in losing this game, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Raiders are going to win a close game. As far as expectations, the power void, the Red Raiders are carrying the weight of the Big 12 on their shoulders, right? And outside of some bitter TCU, Houston, Baylor type fans, right? I think most of the conference, from what I've seen, is going to get behind Tech, and they should, right? Even as a whole, I think TCU, Baylor, and Houston fans should get behind Tech because the better Tech does, the better it is for the Big 12. The last thing this conference wants is for Tech to get boat raced, which I don't think is going to happen, TJ. I don't see a world against any team that the Red Raiders can run into that they aren't going to have a chance to win the game. And the reason why is because I truly believe that if nothing else, this defense can drag any team in the country, Indiana, Ohio State, Georgia, you name them, right? I think this defense can drag any team in the country into a rock fight. And if you can drag a team into a rock fight, you're going to have a chance in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and then, Blake, I mean, we've talked about this game a little bit, and the Oregon offense versus the Tech defense is obviously going to be the highlight. But let's move on a little bit as, we can actually, I don't know if you want to record before New Year's or not, but we can even get in more X's and O's if we want later on. But we've got some transfer portal updates that I want to touch on here for the Red Raiders. We know we're going quarterback shopping, Blake. It looks like that might be all but done. And I'm going to give you the floor as you called this one about a month ago, my friend.
Sorsby is going to happen. Assuming he doesn't go pro, which I pegged that at like a 5% chance, Sorsby's done. His girlfriend committed here for volleyball. It's a savvy move there by the Red Raiders. Recruit girlfriend, get her in. But no, this one's done. The other name that I think is I'm not going to call it done, TJ, but take this for what it is. Omarion Miller, the star receiver from Colorado, first team All Big 12, electric speed, great with the ball in his hands after he catches it. He's going to be a Red Raider.
He's going to be a Red Raider.
He's going to be a Red Raider. And then I don't know if this is the name. I've not gotten confirmation yet, but I did know last week that they were trying to – how do I want to put this? They were trying to find a linebacker to come in and join this crew with J-Rod graduating and join alongside Curry and Roberts or whatever, and call it recruiting, tampering, whatever you want to call it. I know that
whatever you want to call it.
Whatever you want to call it in the modern day of college football. Austin Romaine, the star linebacker from Kansas State, entered the portal today. Don't be shocked if he ends up in Lubbock as well.
And then real quick, we got a tight end, Blake, coming from the Michigan debacle there.
Well,
And
he was down to Michigan and Tech, and then Michigan has blown up their program. Well, their coach blew up their program because of, once again, another college football coach can't seem to control his nighttime activity, and we'll put it nicely. Bobby Petrino
the
at
Red Raiders are
Arkansas.
tight end.
Yeah, but Bobby Petrino down at Arkansas rings a bell on the back of his motorcycle, or now this guy, and I'm sure there's a couple others that I'm not thinking of, but yeah. Lane Kiffin is the only one that seems to do this routinely and get away with it. I mean, I guess he just doesn't really hide it. He's like, I'm going to hit on every sorority girl on sorority row. But and have you seen some of the Lane like text leaks that have come out from Ole Miss people?
No.
You ought to go on Twitter, and they're calling it the Kiffin files. So it's play on the Epstein files, but it's pretty good stuff. But anyway, no, we pick up a really good tight end. He's a freak athlete. He's a guy I think can step in as a freshman and take over the Carlos Miller role, right? As a kind of the blocking tight end with his size. So it's a good pickup.
Yeah, here on the Scarlet and Black Nation podcast with TJ and Blake. I guess there's one thing left to do, Blake.
What's that, TJ?
Is give some Christmas picks from my friend Vegas Blake, who I believe we are 19-10. Did I get that right?
We went 3-3 last week, which hey, it happens, right? It's sports betting. If you're hitting at 53%, you're winning money. So 52.6 to be exact, but with the VIG. But anyway, we're gonna start with this Tech game, TJ. I've been, I'm right with the Red Raiders record. I'm 12-1 picking Red Raiders games this year, and Tech is getting points here, TJ. They're getting 1.5. It was kind of some crazy line movement on this. It opened at Oregon -1.5, and then within 5 hours of it being opened, it flipped to Tech +1.5, which tells me that a lot of the sharps and professionals that look at opening lines hammered Tech, and then then some of the public started coming back in. It's flipped back to Oregon -1.5. So Tech is getting 1.5 currently. Take the Red Raiders, TJ. I know we saved an official pick during the analysis section. Give me the Red Raiders 27-23 over the Oregon Ducks in the Orange Bowl down in Miami, and they cover the 1.5. Next pick, one other college pick. I'm sorry, we got several college picks here. Only non-playoff game I'm going to pick is BYU playing Georgia Tech in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Watching that little press conference was hilarious, with Kalani being so excited to eat a Pop-Tart that had just come out of the trophy that they turned into a toaster. But that was good TV to watch. BYU -4.5 against Georgia Tech. I don't think Georgia Tech's that good. I think the ACC outside of Miami ain't any good. And I think BYU's motivated to play this game and play well and show that they got left out. So BYU -4.5. And then we're going to pick the other three playoff games really quick here, TJ. Give me the Miami Hurricanes +9.5 against Ohio State. I think Ohio State wins this game and wins comfortably. But Miami with the backdoor cover, a late score to take away the 9.5 cover. Give me the Hurricane to cover there. Roll Tide.
Roll damn Tide.
I think they're going to beat Indiana. I think that they after they started really badly against Oklahoma, they started looking like the Alabama that was rolling through the middle part of their schedule, knocking off ranked teams. They look like they're getting healthier again after some of the injuries they had in the Georgia game. Not only, TJ, do I think they cover the 6.5, I think they're going to win the game. So Roll Tide.
They're going to knock off the Indiana Hoosiers, which would set up a potential matchup against the winner of the Red Raiders in Oregon there.
Yep. Roll Tide. Georgia going to smoke.
No doubt.
Yeah, they're going to smoke Ole Miss. I know this was a competitive game the first time back in Athens, but that was with Lane Kiffin, without Lane Kiffin and most of that offensive staff, and just how well Georgia's playing right now. Give me Georgia -6.5. And then three pro picks here real quick for you, TJ. The Denver Broncos are playing at our beloved Chiefs, who are going to be now down to their third string quarterback. They sat McDuffie. They sat Two of their offensive linemen, they sat Rashee Rice with a concussion. They're in full tank mode. They realize they've got a rare opportunity here in the Mahomes era to potentially get a top 10 pick. They're going to play the third stringer now that Minshew also tore his ACL. Give me the Denver Broncos on the road minus 12.5. I don't care one lick about the number. I don't think 12.5 is near enough. I think this is going to be especially with Denver coming off of this weekend getting shellacked at home by the Jaguars. Give me Denver to go on the road at Arrowhead and win convincingly and cover the 12.5. The second one, the Cleveland Browns. We love those home dogs, baby. Plus 3.5.
Myles Garrett, Arlington Martin, baby.
Yep, they just covered against Buffalo at home. They get Pittsburgh at home. They're getting 3.5 against Pittsburgh. Myles Garrett's going to get after Aaron Rodgers in this game, TJ. And I think he's going to get home several times. Pittsburgh wins. Cleveland covers plus 3.5. And finally, and again, you're going to tell me, and we were right when we picked San Francisco last week with the 12.5, and you said that's a big number. You're going to tell me I'm even crazier for taking a road 13.5 point favorite. But we're going to take the Patriots minus 13.5 against the Jets, mostly just because I think the Jets stink. And I don't really have much else to say other than I think the Jets stink.
Well, you heard it from Vegas, Blake. The New York Jets stink. Breaking news. There was your Christmas picks from Vegas, Blake. Blake, any other comments here before we get out of here?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, man. Merry Christmas to Red Raider Nation. Merry Christmas to all our Scarlet and Black Nation followers and subscribers. And, man, hope you and the little ones, got the two little ones. I'm sure that's going to be a joy to watch them open some gifts. I, of course, don't have any.
They've got a haul. They've got you go look at our Christmas tree right now, and my wife has gone overboard. They've got a haul of stuff under there to open. So
I'm sure that throw some extra my way. If they got some toys, they're not going to play with.
Santa has been very good to them.
That's good, man. I need Santa to come through with something for me. I don't know. I'll think about it. But although I did get, I can't move the camera, but I sent it to you privately. We had the newspaper from
that's awesome. That's very cool.
So I did, to let everybody know, 2008 when I was a student, the Crabtree game. I've always wanted that picture. I've always wanted something memorabilia wise from that. Well, we had the newspaper from the very next day, and the highlight reads "Tech by a knockout." And it's got the picture of Crabtree going into the end zone, and I got it framed, and it's up actually right here. Of course, you can't see it. I thought about putting it here, but then I just too much. So we spread it out a little bit. But yeah, I did get that for Christmas. So really excited to have that on my wall for the rest of the time.
Just as a suggestion, you don't have to do this, but I actually think you ought to take the Man Cave banner and move it to where the poster is, and put the poster on that one, and just have the one banner with the Mahomes, and then put the Crabtree one over your other shoulder. But that's just me.
Might have some room to do that. Yeah, well, maybe we could do some reorganizing here on the Scarlet and Black Nation podcast. Well, Blake, man, enjoy it with the kiddos, and we'll take some time off here and have the holidays, and let the Red Raiders play some basketball and play.
Hopefully, we're celebrating a football win. Yeah, hopefully, we're talking about a semifinal game against the Alabama Crimson Tide. So
absolutely, which my best friend, one of my best friends, is a huge Roll Tide guy, being from Bama, so. I watched that game with him, and they're down 17-0, and he's like, "Oh, we stink. Ty Simpson sucks. You're not going to win anything." And then lo and behold, his attitude changed real quick. Roll Tide. So, Blake, man, I enjoyed it as always, and everybody have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We'll talk to you next year, 2026, coming soon here on the Scarlet and Black Nation podcast. Blake, how do we get out of here?
Rack 'em.
We'll talk to you guys soon.